Welcome to Cloud School. Adobe Photoshop and Intermediate Graphic Design. In this video lesson you will learn the most critical methods and powerful capabilities of Adobe Photoshop.
Making and using selections. Find an image on the internet to experiment with. We copied and pasted this copyright-free butterfly into a practice Photoshop file to start with. You could also save the file to your computer and then use Photoshop to open it.
Using a combination of selection tools. These are the selection tools, and in each box there will be other variations or different tools to work with. In the second toolbox are the rectangular and elliptical marquee tools. Let's try one of those real fast. Left click and drag to make a selection. This is a good way to introduce the idea of selection to you in Photoshop. Let's just show you the general idea and then show you how to make very specific selections. Photoshop creates a moving dashed line, sometimes called marching ants, to indicate the area that is now selected. If you were to paint or erase or cut or copy, really anything you might do next would only affect this part of the layer. Don't forget Photoshop will allow you to undo mistakes or practice ideas, so feel free to experiment with techniques and looks. Go ahead and edit undo enough to get back to the original layer. If you had any problems trying these ideas, you may have run into a layer being a smart object. A good idea in some situations, but a good tip is to right-click on the layer and select Rasterize. That basically pixelates the layer so you can edit it directly in the new project.
Every photo or design you may work with will likely have several ways to accomplish the same goal. We will try out most of the selection tools and see what they are designed to do, and we can find out if they will work well with the photo we are practicing with. This is where you become an intermediate Photoshop user, so be patient and try several of these tools. As we demonstrated a moment ago, the rectangular and elliptical marquee tools allow you to draw various rectangles, squares and oval or egg shapes plus perfect circles. Holding the Shift key when you make a new selection using these tools will constrain the shape to square or circles.
These tools are good for isolating a general region of the photo. Let's try another idea. The next box contains the lasso tools. The rope-looking lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool and the magnifying lasso tool. Let's see what they do. The regular lasso tool is a free draw type tool. Anything goes, but not much help from Photoshop. You can add by holding Shift or subtract by holding Option keys. This is a good cleanup tool. Hit Command plus D to deselect. For Windows and PC users it will be Ctrl plus D. The menu commands are always there in case you forget the shortcut.
Next is the polygonal lasso tool. It can let you create interesting straight line based shapes. Interesting, but a more powerful tool is probably the magnetic lasso tool. You click and drag to define the edge with this tool, and periodically Photoshop will drop off a little anchor. You can click to drop these off yourself. The tool tries to look at the color contrast that is close to where you are drawing and assists you in snapping around the pixels. It's a nice tool once you get the hang of it, and until recently was a tool most often recommended for making selections. If you get confused, you can hit Escape or Escape on your keyboard to start over. If you get close and are able to wrap up the selection, you might consider using the regular lasso tool to make some edits.
Photoshop 2020 has a new object selection tool that seems like a real winner. You draw a basic rectangle around the object, and the AI in Photoshop will analyze the area and try to identify the object. It's pretty good, but maybe not always perfect, so we can edit with other tools.
So remember, with the magnetic lasso, it's going to help you, but it sometimes can become a disadvantage. You might find that going to the regular lasso tool to do cleanup work is going to help you a little bit more. And also, don't forget, holding the shift key allows you to add to a selection, and holding the option key allows you to deselect.
Let's try that magnetic lasso tool on the antennae of this butterfly. Pretty tricky, and I'll do a little extra cleanup work using quick mask mode. This is better covered in other videos, but real fast let's show you the deselected areas are usually a reddish amber color. This means the area is not selected. Go in and out of this mode a few times to see the basic idea, and then you can paint with white to select other areas. Or paint with black to deselect. It will paint that reddish color when you are using black. Toggle out of quick mask mode to catch on to what's happening. Quick mask mode is another good cleanup method.
Making selections in Photoshop is a vital skill and allows you to apply filters and other concepts to that specific isolated area or selection. Let's try out a couple of these real fast.
Let's try cutting in or copying and pasting this selection. Use Edit Cut. The slitted R should disappear, then Edit Paste to add the selection on its own layer. Toggle the layers on and off to see how this worked out.
A nice idea you might want to try is to hold Option and use the Move tool to drag and make a copy of your selection. Then I can use Transform and flip horizontal and get a mirror image of that area. A little more edit-free transform. But hopefully you can see why it's an important skill set to develop making selections and isolating parts in Photoshop. What we want to try to do is start a new project and have you guys make one of either two ideas, what we call a desktop theme, or we can make a news graphic. I'm going to go ahead and start that new file. Go to File, New. And under our, our film and video process, we have our HD TV size, 1920 by 1080 and 72. So that'll give us a page to work with. And then what I was going to do is just kind of get this project going. I'm going to borrow this butterfly that I have over here. I'm going to copy it. So Edit, Copy. And then back in the other project, we'll do an Edit, Paste. And then you can kind of see how that turned out. What we can typically do for news graphics is combine different elements, the photos, backgrounds, etc., and also add text and maybe a title and subtitle. So let me see if I just keep it kind of simple on this one. We'll put the butterfly, and then let me add a little text and show you styles, and then I can show you a couple other ideas on how to quickly change the background. But let me start with some text. Using our horizontal type tool, I'm going to click in here and then just type in butterfly. You can see the font and all that stuff may not be the one you want. I'm going to do a quick Command A on that row, and then I can change the font style to something that might, match my theme or the look that I'm working on. And then I can make it bigger here. Honestly, I usually just scale it up after the fact. Here's your base color. But once you get it, I'm going to go ahead and recommend you do Edit Free Transform, Command T, or Control T, and then you can scale it up however you want to do that. Okay, move that over there. In this film and video preset, it gives us some little boundaries, and this is kind of the sweet spot. Certain screens might not show all this, so if you want to guarantee that your audience is going to see everything, you might put it in this little safe zone, or at least the majority of it. So what I was going to try to do is have you guys put some text on there. You can try out these things called layer styles. You click on a layer style. Oops, sorry, undo that one. I want to do that to the text. You can try that idea. So with a click of a button, you might come up with something pretty good. This is one of the old legacy styles that I like. It has an outer glow on a white background. It doesn't look so good, but let me show you real fast how to edit and change these. This is something we'll probably cover more extensively in another video. But if I want to change the base color, let me add the base color, which is color overlay, and then I can make that color whatever I want. Let me keep it even sample out of the document. Okay, that glow still doesn't quite show up. You can see a little bit under the when we put the butterfly behind it. But let's see. A lot of times for our news stories and other products, we'll have a title and then maybe a subtitle. So maybe just to kind of think that through, let's go ahead and put another text box down here, and I'm going to say butterflies return to the valley. All right. Again, that move tool. Oopsies, I accidentally grabbed a hold of the guide. The move tool should let me move it around. Edit free transform to scale it up or down. And that's looking pretty good. So for a news graphic, we might go with something simple like that. If we take off this background, you can export it as a PNG file and it'll have a clear, transparent background. Another thing that we might often do is double click on this white background layer, and it's going to basically unlock it for us. So you notice the lock's missing. But you can try putting one of these background styles to it. So the white color that was there, you can override that with any of these kind of ideas. And same story we just did before, you can go in and customize and change these around. So if you get something that's kind of cool, you might go in there and poke around a little bit and see if you can figure out maybe how to change the look by changing some of these variables. But there's a lot of options you can get into. But it's pretty fun once you try it out. And then finally, the last thing you want to know is when you want to put Photoshop files onto the internet or into a video project, you're usually going to have to save them as a PNG file. So I'm going to go to File and Export, and there's a quick export as PNG. So that's one good way to go. And I'm going to put this on my desktop and call it Butterfly. And we're going to leave that PNG ending on it.
It's all happening up here.